So, very good afternoon to one and all. Resource person for this afternoon session, Dr. AJIT THETE sir has joined the cloud meeting. So, on behalf of UGC Malviya Mission Teachers Training Center, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, Marathwada University, Chhatrapati Sambhaji Nagar, I welcome Dr. AJIT THETE sir, who is former Joint Director Technical Education, Aurangabad Region, Aurangabad. I welcome you, sir, and I would request all participants to open the camera for this session. And I would now hand over the session to Dr. AJIT THETE sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Uh, Thank you so much, Dr. Rafe sir, for giving me once again a opportunity to interact with the professors of this program as such. Dear Professor, good afternoon. I welcome you to this session. Start just because today I'll be focusing more on the what are the different skill developments are required when we talk about the higher education. So, the skill requirement in higher education is my today's topic, and in that context, I'll be discussing with you. So, I'll just open my video. Sorry, PPT. So, as we know that under national education policy, you are undergoing a variety of the programs. And when we talk of national education policy, obviously, one of the requirement of the national education policy is developing the skills among the graduates. And when we talk about the skills, earlier it was broadly referred to the skills which are required to the science and technology. But as you know that the need of the business, industry, and society has significantly changed, and skills are being demanded at all sectors of our business, industry, employment sector as such. And hence, uh, of course, I know, understand ki you all professors are, some of are from the universities, some of you may be from the autonomous institution, and some of you must be from the affiliated colleges. So, of course, every type of the college has got their own certain constant. Like, for example, if I talk of the university or affiliated institution, a curriculum is designed already, and there is a very little chance to modify the curriculum as such. However, as we know that we go for National Assessment and Accreditation Council, under that you can add the skill development programs, skill development courses. We can also develop the employment related courses, so that students are being well trained. And when we talk about an autonomous institute, in the autonomous institution, yes, being then autonomy, they can bring in the significant immediate change into that. Because I understand in the university systems, sometimes it becomes difficult for a quick shift. Yeah, nowadays I have seen and I have experienced that a lot of shifting from one course to the another course, or bringing the new courses to the curriculum, has become a very fast process. But then otherwise, we have to go for the, as I said to you, certain value added courses. Now, as we discuss as about the skills requirement in higher education, I have tried to cover the all faculties into that. And especially when we talk on the skill education, even in the rural area, because some of the institutions are located in rural area or semi-urban area. So that time, it's very much required that we should give a sufficient exposure to the student on the skill development. So skills in higher education, as per the National Education Policy 2020, And as I mentioned to you, in the today's rapidly evolving job market, the overall roles of the higher education is shifting, equipping students with practical skills beyond the classroom, and has become increasingly crucial for their future success and employability. So, this is the theme of my session, which I'll be interacting with you for the next 3 hours or so. Uh, so, uh, we know that under national education policy, different state government and universities, even University Grant Commission, Ministry of Education, Government of India, they have come out with variety of the document and notifications and even gazette, which talks about that skills requirement. As I mentioned here, the skills requirement for the higher education in all sectors is being important, and hence it is a part of the curriculum. There are two type of the skills which are being incorporated in context to the courses as such. One course which is, or one category of the course is ability enhancement courses. So when we are uh, educating the graduates in the respective program, it may be from the humanities, it may be from the science and technology, or commerce or business management. When I'm saying humanities, of course, law will come into that, and even design like programs or education like program, they will also come to that. So, one type category of the courses which are there framed in by many universities are ability enhancement courses. So that is one category which already been instructed by the through the notification and gazette. Second is skill courses. The second category of the skill courses, they emphasize more on discipline oriented skills. So, like suppose I'm teaching to the graduates of commerce and business management, whatever the skilling is required, we required for them two types of skilling. As I said to you, ability enhancement means for commerce and business and management, what type of the skills will help them so that their ability of performing on the job or on the business will enhance. Like for example, when we talk about the ability enhancement program as such, it's very important that there should be a team building, team working. We need to work in a team, isn't it? Then obviously we require to have a lot of managing with the stress and conflict. So these are the ability enhancements, just an example I'm sharing with you. And when you come to the skills for commerce and business management, nowadays we know that we are observed in day-to-day life. If you even in a semi-urban area, I'm very much sure that even in rural area been now penetrated, there are lot of the malls are coming up, or even if not at all a malls, but there are retail showrooms are coming up. So a room or a is the shops having retailing. So retailing business has become so important, and they require a lot of the ERP, they require software, they require supply chain management. And for that, the ERP or SAP or using different technology, softwares and hardwares has become very important. So this is just an example as an introduction to all of you. So hence we require that one is through the curriculum which is being designed by the university, or if it is an autonomous institution can emphasize specially on the needs of the industry and society and the business. And so we are talking about if suppose the it is required that these skills need to be blended through the course curriculum, means apart from skill courses and apart from the ability enhancement program, at large what type of the skilling is required, because you will observe that the, as I said you in the very beginning, skilling is the demand of the time, and in that context we need to work on to that. So National Education Policy 2020, which emphasize on the statement, the 16.5 statement of the National Education Policy, it states that by 2025, now we are in 2025, at least 50% of learners through the school and higher education system shall have exposure to the vocational education, for which a clear action plan with target and timelines will be developed. This is in alignment with the Sustainable Development Goal 4.4 and will help to realize the full potential of India's demographic dividend. So we all professors, those who are connected through this program, from the different faculties and from the different demography of our nation, we need to understand as a policy that it is being planned that the vocationalization of higher education is must. Doesn't mean that we don't want to emphasize on the research, but nowadays research has also become one of the profession. But then this vocationalization education has given emphasis in the national education policy because of aligning our curriculums with the Sustainable Development Goal 4.4, which says that the skilling will enhance the economical earning. More jobs will get created, and a very important wording which has been made in the Sustainable Development Goal, that the people of the country, people of the world will become self-reliant. So to become a self-reliant, one need to have the professional skills, the core skills, and that's how we can minimize the uh, poverty which is facing by majority of the developing countries, and that can be imbibed into the curriculum of the higher education across the discipline. So, just as the professors, you must be, since working on the different aspects of national education policy, you must have come across this particular statement. So, our purpose of skilling the or vocationalization of higher education is aligning ourselves to the Sustainable Development Goal 4.4, which talks of emphasizing the employability, removing or reducing the poverty, and skilling the people so that they become self-reliant into that. Now, when we talk of that, obviously, you being all researchers, professors are the researcher, I'm just trying to put before you, submit before you, what is the reference to the context of the today's topic of the lecture, and also the what I'm going to design. Of course, one is a NEP 2020 document of Ministry of Education, Government of India, which just I mentioned about you. Second is India Labour Report 2024. Of course, I need not tell you, but labor report, the here, labor doesn't mean only the laborers those who are working, which are uneducated, unskilled labor or skilled labor. Labor, definition of the labor are, we all, even we professors come under the category of labor. And even those working in the very different public sector, those working in the private sector or in entrepreneurship, and even employment sector as such. So as an entrepreneur or everything, the India Labor Report 2024 says that the graduates which are employed or those who are working, 80% of those graduates are professionals, we can say the other way, they don't have professional related education, professional related sort of the training, isn't it? We all know that, especially when we talk of a health science education like Ayurveda, homeopathy, or medical education, it is mandatory as a part of the curriculum. They need to undergo an internship for a 1 year, wherein they get the required skills and competency. Similarly, those who go to the different sectors. Suppose I'm going in the sector of, say, business in the finance or banking, or for that matter, I'm going in the tourism sector, for that matter, or I'm working in the field of, say, literature, where I'm a really translator, working on translation, working on different scheme, etc., etc. So herein I required professional related skill, and that's why two things are happening. The As per the Indian Labor Report 2024, number one, the rate of employment is going down because of the vocational education. And second, which many other reports also mention, the attraction toward the higher education is going down. But obviously, right now we are in a very good position because of National Education Policy 2020. Now it has become a part of the policy and our curriculums are developed. But of course, I wanted to refer to you this document as such. Then there is a one more report of Rajkumar Singh, which is of October 2023. It talks about what is the necessity and benefits of skill development in higher education. So again, more or less the philosophy is same. Is They always in the paper it has been related. What are the skill requirement in real world of work across the faculties, and how we can imbibe that into the higher education system. I remember, of course, I'm taking you long back. I'm taking you in 1998 or 99. I attended one of the conference in New Delhi, and it was an international conference on vocationalization of higher education. I'm talking about 1998. Means the vocationalization movement is already started long back in our country, but now, unless and until it is being properly formalized, it made a sort of a framework of curriculum, it will not happen. And when we talk of a curriculum, as I said to you, one part of the curriculum is by offering the courses like ability enhancement courses and skill courses. And second approach which I am sharing, this particular approach, is that while teaching a specific course or while training those graduates, you can have some value added program which are planned across the graduation duration, so that our student get skill in and ready to work in the world of work. One more is a skill development needed for positions in higher education by Daphne Happin. So he has also has a same report. Then developing employability skills in higher education and at work. This is one more document by JW. He has also emphasized into that. The future of higher education skills for the world of tomorrow. This is a UNESCO's publication of 2020. Okay, and of course, as I mentioned to you, UNESCO Sustainable Development Goal 4. So the idea of this particular session, which I'm conducting, I have taken the input, the findings, the thoughts explained in this different document, and I'm now presenting to you by adding my own ideas into this. So, agenda of our today's session: the context of skills and vocational development, NEP 2020. This is what I am gave a first agenda. Second, we will have a discussion on the skill requirements in university education. This is across UG, PG, research program. We have lot of certificate program. We have certain chairs. So all, of course, in the colleges and the university, we have a skill requirement. So across the program, what a broad skill requirement is there? That is my second agenda. Third is the skills to be taught in the liberal arts. Okay. So of course I understand the faculty joined for this particular program, they are from different faculties, and that's why I have tried to address the all faculties, all three major faculties which we talk about that. And obviously nowadays we talk about interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary faculty, that also I have tried to cover. My request and appeal to all of you, though you may not be from one of these faculty, please try to understand, and if possible jot it down so that you can share with your faculty from your institution that this is the trend in the different sectors into education. Then skills to be taught in business management and commerce. What type of the skills are required taught? The skills to be taught in science and education. Then skills for the interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary education. Now we know that under national education policy, we talk of interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary. So we in multidisciplinary, we talk of majors and minors or honors, something we talk. And in interdisciplinary, we give a sort of a one minor where one has got a choice to select the course from other discipline. So we'll discuss this whenever that point comes. But when we have a interdisciplinary approach, means a student of say liberal art, which learns say for example economics or psychology, having him a management or a education or the interdisciplinary approach on programming, or a decision on the or the inputs based upon the marketing management or business communication, it become very well. So it become an interdisciplinary approach in which we have to talk. And so what type of the skills are required in this situation? Then what are the digital skills in today's workforce? We know that key. And now, if I talk of digitalization, I need not tell you everything. We are going far ahead. Huh? Our country in the digitalization is the world topmost country. The Aadhaar card, which is the in the world we are topmost who have digitalized the population of our country. So higher. So we have gone into that. Not only that, recent development which you must have seen, the post office has come out with the, you need not write the address on the whenever you are writing a post, a letter, you can just put a code, a digital code which has been created by the post office, the Department of Post and Telegraphs. So such a type of digitalization, our UPI, okay, that digital payment has been so popular that not in India, but other countries are following that model. So having this sector, and you all know that many state of government, they have shifted to the e-filing system. Isn't it? So whenever I go to the bank or I go to some offices or I work in the industry or business, the digital skills are important to me. Then eighth one is the life skills for career and life. Of course, this I am going to cover at the end, but it has come little early in my agenda. This I will cover into the end. Then ninth one is the design thinking skills across the domain of university education. And when I'm using the word university, of course, all affiliated and autonomous institutions are part of that. So design thinking skills will develop a sort of a creativity and innovations among the students, and he can, in the initial stage, in the first year, he can learn those concepts, and he will try to develop the problem solving skills into that. He will start to do creativity, and as he move from second year, he will and learn in a respective faculty to work on the problem solving or some mini projects, and at the end he can become an entrepreneur. Okay. So, Make in India, as you know very well, that we are trying to focus on the entrepreneurship. And not only that, we all know that the research and development, intellectual property right, create innovations has a unique place in our higher education and even the economic sector. So, but then how we build that skills among the students, and that's why the design thinking skills that we brought to the student in our education system. And the last one, which of course we now not is very popular, is the skill in AI across the discipline. So these are skills, and when I'm saying artificial intelligence, I did not say about machine learning, deep learning, or it also includes large language models, because it is not only related to the science and technology education, but at every sector, and we know that crores of rupees in being invested by our country to have our own AI tool, AI platform as such. So, dear professors, this is the agenda of our today's session, which I'll be conducting. As I mentioned to you, I have to stick up to this 10 point, and we will proceed further for the discussion. Now, when we talk of your skills, so the bridging the gap between education and employability. This is our in the university education. Our focus is on to that, bridging the gap between education and employability. This is the actually we can say major agenda, because the relevant skills the employer seeks graduate with diverse set of skills, including critical thinking, problem solving, and teamwork. And that's why higher education must adapt to meet these industry demand. When I'm saying industry, does not mean only manufacturing industry. This may be an insurance industry, this may be a banking industry or retail industry, any industry for that matter. So all these industry, they demand that graduates should have a relevant skills, including critical thinking and problem solving. Second is very important to have a practical application. So integrating hands-on learning opportunities such as internships, project-based assignment, they can help students to apply their knowledge in real-world setting. And when we talk of NEP 2020, they have also mentioned about that we are going to have a experiential learning. And this experiential learning, again and again, I'm trying to tell you that it is across the faculty. Means if at all my student doing BA sociology, I will have a experiential learning wherein he can apply the concepts and principles of sociology in the world of work. Internship. Now it is become mandatory. I'm working with one university in the Pune in the state of Maharashtra. I'm the member of governing council of the university, and we have made it a compulsory to all the programs. All we have a humanities, we have a commerce and business management, we have a science and technology, we have health sciences, we have interdisciplinary studies. Everywhere we have made experiential learning mandatory, design thinking mandatory, internship mandatory. My all students go for 4 weeks, sometime 2 weeks in two slot for internship in the respective places. Choice is given to the students, and if they require some support, is being provided by the university. So, very importantly, when we deal, and my appeal to my all faculty members, those who are teaching in the rural area and semi-urban area, I can understand the difficulty that you might be facing in delivering the curriculum. So, how they by way of simulations or by way of a more collaboration, because nowadays connectivity, I mean networking becomes very important. How you try to do that? Of course, there are few options, or rather options are many for the online internship, but you have to be very careful whether it's giving the candidate a hands-on experience or not, and you should try to that, begin on to that. And obviously some other time we may discuss those models, because being I come from the rural area, I am always concerned about the students and teachers that they might be facing in implementing this aspect. And the third one, to bridge the gap between education and industry, is developing the adaptable skills and prepare students to thrive in the rapidly changing job market, and empowering them to pivot and evolve with the times. Because a continuous learning, we used to say that lifelong learning, now it has become very essential. It has become very essential, and that's why they to get adapting to the new job trends, or new technology trends, or new demands of the employer or business. That attitude we need to develop. I need not tell you on this moment that when we talk of learning, learning takes place in three domains. One is a cognitive domain, which has talks about the intellectual process, or it talks about the intelligence aspect. Psychomotor domain, which talks about the skills development. And the third is the affective domain, where we talk about emotions and attitudes. So somewhere we have to also develop those adaptable, that attitudinal skills, that human skill, so that students get adapted to the new job requirement, and they do not discourage, they do not get frustrated. And that's why preparing student for the future job, many times it so happens that students get frustrated, they get discouraged, because they feel, they find it, or they have observed or experienced, or they are hearing that the graduates, whatever, if you do an undergraduate and postgraduate, doesn't mean there is a surety of the employment. Okay. So to change this situation, we have to follow into this aspect. In this, we have to also go on to the very important skills across the education. This I'm talking about across the university, UG, PG, everyone. Research, we do that. We have to focus more on the analytical skills. So how these analytical skills can be developed into the students? So a critical thinking and problem solving abilities we need to develop. Because when we go to an say for example some job, they look about see this aspect. So rigorous coursework that challenge the student to analyze complex problem and think critically can sharpen their decision making skills. So the our style of teaching, our method of teaching, the type of learning experiences that we have to give it to the students, we need to think on that and see that there is a complex problem is given to the student, so that a critical thinking, a analytical thinking skills are developed. Second is the creative solutions, means encouraging the innovative approaches to problem solving, and that empowers students to develop unique and out of the box solution to the real world challenges. So that creative solution, how we can develop, how we can do. Okay, my student of sociology, my student of commerce, my student of science and technology, how they become more and more creative, because this is the demand of the time. I have recently read in the newspaper that a school going children has developed a robot which is useful for the agriculture in the farm, to the farmers. Okay, it means, and he's not a learner, he's not graduate, he's not yet to pass 10th class, but school going. So definitely the teacher who is teaching, or the environment under which he is working, he must have got motivated, inspired, and doing something, learning. So that critical analysis, that critical thinking, that creativity is required. And of course, as I said before, a lifelong learning. Okay, cultivating the growth mindset and a passion for continuous learning, which prepares students to adapt and thrive in their future careers, we need to develop. Okay, so we as a teacher, last week only I was conducting a 1 week faculty development program for a university faculty. There I say that have a holistic approach in doing so. And if you follow the holistic approach, when I'm saying holistic approach means generally, of course, I don't blame anyone as such, but generally, what I as a teacher do or does is that I am restricting, limiting myself to the course which I am teaching. It may be one course, two course, or three course. But then, when really, in real sense, we are preparing graduate for the world of work as an entrepreneur, as a researcher, or as an employee in some organization, we need to have a holistic approach. All courses, all teachers sitting together, understanding the students' need, and even understand what is the need of the world of work, and we should plan a strategy. Sometimes this is not given in the curriculum, but we is our responsibility as a teachers to go and develop this skill as such. And this, of course, nowadays we require fostering the collaborative and communication skills. Okay, these collaborative and communication skills, I need not tell you much about that because you all must be doing. So teamwork is essential, effective presentation, intercultural awareness, and networking. Make your student now only to have their account in LinkedIn so that they will create, develop a networking and building professional connection through, it may be Instagram, it may be LinkedIn, or internship, alumni network. It will help the student to develop. They understand, they learn from the having a networking. So collaborative skills are very important, and we also need to understand the intercultural awareness. Very sorry to say, but many times it has been seen that within the country or within the state or sometimes within the district also, there is a students are find difficult to get themselves to get quickly merge with the cultural requirements. So a cultural background, then empathy, which is core of that, then cultural sensitivity. So we all have to develop, and the our student to do this across the student. And needless to say that the speaking, public speaking, presentation, narration, everything is required. And for that, obviously nowadays we talk about working in a team, and not only working in a team, working in a diverse multidisciplinary teams, isn't it? My students say example, passing a economics, BA economics, and he go and join some industry. After completing economics, he completed Master of Business Administration in finance, and he joined some IT industry. For example, assuming that he comes from the rural area, and I'm talking about a general candidate. I'm not talking about a candidate who has got good exposure. If at all he or she is in rural area, then when he goes to that transition during BA program and MBA program has to be done in such a fashion that he developed that ability of having a intercultural awareness as well as working in a team. Huh? Because that required a collaboration. We required interpersonal skills. isn't it? So these are the one set of skills which we at across the university level we need to talk about them. Then very importantly, which I also mentioned, and this will be quickly finishing this particular slide, but when I'm saying adapting, it means preparing student for the evolving job market. So evolving job market, we have to have as adaptable skills. We should have a lifelong learning continuously. One should learn and remain relevant to the dynamic workforce. And to have that, the innovative mindset is must for the student. And it is also talks and call for the very importantly on the technology fluency. The technology which today we are going to focus on, what are those skills? Just one second. Sorry. So when you prepare your student for evolving job market, you will come to know that what technology fluency is required in the subsequent presentation. But the proficiency in the emerging tools and digital skills to excel in the tech-driven economy. It's a tech-driven economy as such, and on which we need to try. We need to try an entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship doesn't mean only that it will end into become a businessman or entrepreneur or industrialist, but that innovative mindset and risk-taking abilities will give him a newer and newer opportunities. So in that line, I would request all of you to work into that. Now, having discussed all these things, now we'll come to the faculty wise. What are the broad skills are required? And as I mentioned in the beginning part of my lecture, it is my request to all faculty members who have connected, joined through this particular FDP. I'll request all of you ki though while viewing the my presentation, you may not become be the part of that faculty, but please take a note of that you can communicate those changes happening in the world to your colleagues. Okay. Now, skills in liberal arts education. We are now focusing on the liberal art education. When I'm presenting for liberal art, for business, commerce and management, for science and technology, obviously there are some repetitions. Okay. So wherever repetitions are there, I will move quickly. Okay. But I don't want to avoid that particular slide because I should not ignore those skills which are required for that particular graduates. Okay. Now, when we talk of skills in liberal art education, critical thinking and problem solving skills. We find majority when I'm talking about liberal arts specifically, or even commerce and business management, as Dr. Rafe sir has introduced me, I'm a former joint director for technical education, and obviously I'm an engineer. But I always say that liberal arts, humanities, commerce and business managements are equally professional as science and technology. This is my philosophy, I'm telling you. And this philosophy I propagate because how we can ignore now, if you see the today's world, as I've given you the example of economics, take the example of sociology. My sociology student is working for the entire through the NGOs or their own entrepreneurship to bring him significant shift in their lives of the people. So are they not professional? Similarly, my commerce people, they are the backbone of the economy in industry and banking. So we all have to, we all have to understand that the liberal arts and humanities is also a professional discipline. And these presentation will tell you, now see, we'll forget what happened in the past. Past requirement was different. And I don't want to comment on the what the people were used to say in the previous way. I'm talking about the present and my philosophy as such. So, to our liberal art and humanities students, very importantly, we require the skills of critical thinking and problem solving. Okay, because they when we say liberal arts, economic student, sociology student, okay, economics, sociology, psychology student, literature student, or even somewhere liberal art program is given. All these they work in a team. They work in a diverse environment, and where they have to solve the complex issue. As I've given you the example of a sociology student, or an economic student, or a psychology student. It's a humanity branch. But we know that a psychology student is working at a very different level. Counseling, sometimes industrial counseling. So when he or she is doing so, it required an ability to analyze the complex issue, evaluate the evidences, and draw logical conclusions of that. And of course, this is also required when you talk about analytical mindset, equally required with is creative problem solving. Means when we say creative problem solving, means the student will have an approach of a understanding the problem with open mind and come out with considering a multiple perspectives for these innovative solutions as such. But that what is their requirement is that you should not go with a traditional approach. Thinking out of the box is required. You have to come out, we have to be open with the mind, because ultimately the problem issues are important, and that's why we require a creative problem solving skills. Adaptability, as I mentioned to you always, that it will develop a skill of critical thinking, which is gain empowers student to navigate ambiguity and pivot effectively in dynamic environment. So many times the business are changing, the organizations are changing. He must be able to do that. This already I have discussed. I said you already there are some repetition, but why I'm emphasizing here, it is related to the liberal art. Earlier I talked about in general. Now I'm talking specific to the faculty as such. Now my students of liberal art and the humanities required effective communication and interpersonal skills. So written expressions are required so that the student can develop clear, persuasive, and engaging written communication. It's very important. Not that only, but have a good confidence when he or she is articulating certain ideas to the diverse audience. Okay. And obviously, this required a collaboration. So, as I said to you, interdisciplinary projects and discussions, which will really cultivate the teamwork and empathy and that ability to work in a team with others. Now, when we talk, or when I'm moving from slide to slide, equally a back of mind, please think about what approach can be used, because we all know that there are curriculum constants. And as a part of curriculum constant, always I experience that teacher talking about the time available for the conducting these all activities. What I want to say that can you have a blended learning? Can you make it a part of your learning process wherein you develop this part of the abilities? Then creativity and innovations. Okay. So this liberal art that encourage to think outside the box. Okay. Generating the original ideas and unconventional solutions. This is the uniqueness of the liberal art and humanities. You have seen, I need not tell you about that because those faculty, they know that with whatever example I have given. So to be successful in the career and life, they must go for a divergent thinking. So we develop when you are teaching the student of any sub branch or sub-domain within the liberal art and the humanities, we have to develop the ability which is essentially required to have a diverse thinking. Now, what will happen? Divergent thinking, divergent thinking will develop ultimately his ability to solve more complex problem in a different situation. Means to say that, again taking same example, that I learn economics. I learn the different principles of economics, microeconomics, macroeconomics, so many things I have learned. But when I go to an agricultural industry, how do I apply those concepts? So that's why while teaching only, you create a learning environment where students are properly exposed to this sort of the situation. Then multidisciplinary insight. So ability to make unexpected connection and spark innovation. Okay. So a multidisciplinary insight is essential, and that's why those you all must be remember, you must have studied the Bloom's taxonomy. And when we talk about Bloom's taxonomy, we talk about a application, analysis, evaluation, and creativity. So similarly, when we have means we need to take our student at a application analysis level so that their application based upon the analysis is possible and they will be able to work in a multidisciplinary insight as such. Just to share with you once again that I have seen and you must have experienced that the many graduates they shift, especially when we see some commerce graduate doing the contractor business. Why he's successful in the contract business is not only because he has got that graduation, but he start constructing roads, building, but he has learned some abilities from the commerce education, from the business management education, which has made him to work in a multidisciplinary insights, multidisciplinary situation. So this one example, I think, is sufficient to you. And then, obviously, as I said, we have to have an entrepreneurial mindset. Among psychology, huge opportunities are there. Sociology, huge opportunities are there. Economics, huge opportunities are there. Economics, even literature, we have a huge opportunities. So there are opportunities available to be an entrepreneur. But that creative skills is required so that students are empowered and they could identify the opportunities and they can turn them to the realities. And for that nature, because we hardly, doesn't mean that we don't have, but we have so many economics, so many socialists, okay, so many psychologists, they have started their own entrepreneurship. So such lessons and things, opportunities are there, and that's why this skill is required to the student as such. Then ethical reasoning and decision making. Okay, any setup, it may be employment, it may be a business, research. This is core. This is the core aspect, that which, again, with your permission, I present that we very rarely emphasize on these ethical reasoning and decision making skills. So, liberal art curriculum exploring the ethical theories and principles, equipping students to navigate the complex moral dilemmas is very important. Make it as a part of the curriculum, or if not, have more emphasis on developing this moral framework to the student. Second is students learn to consider a broader social impact on their decisions and actions, which is cultivating a sense of a civic duty. So, as a sociology graduate, economics graduate, literature graduate, or psychology grad, or history, geography, they must understand the social context, and not only that, they should develop the skills and ability to have a sense of civic duty so they can be successful in their business and employment. All we are talking is to make the career and life of our student successful, isn't it? They should perform excellently, and they should reach to their mission and vision of life. Third skill which is required in this category is a philosophical inquiry. Okay, so when we talk about critical thinking, how this critical think is possible unless and until you have some sort of a philosophical discourse. So about values, about beliefs, about morals, about ethics. So, the philosophical inquiry will develop the ability among the student. You will understand by this time the graduates of liberal art are going in the diversified business industry and public and private sector. As I said, they have a unique demand in these different sectors, and to make them successful, to prepare them for job, that this aspect, this philosophical inquiry, means having a critical thinking and ability to think on the values, the beliefs, morals is important so that they can work excellently into the area. As we said and as we discussed earlier, even to make them more about adapting and lifelong learning, how from the beginning you develop a curiosity. So this skill is required. Okay. So this curiosity will empower students continuously to expand the knowledge. So we have seen that, very sorry to say, but the student of especially liberal art, they find no future. But then, of course, I'm not talking about all the students as such. But when we talk of that, then why it is so happening? Can we develop this sort of the empowering student to have a curiosity amongst them? Also, we have to have a flexibility. And whenever, of course, our curriculums are very flexible, but the well-rounded curriculum that prepares students to adapt changing job markets and societal needs. And accordingly, we have to make our student more resourceful, mindfulness as such. This I did not repeat because interdisciplinary perspective and synthesis. There are two broad sectors available for our liberal arts student. One area is their own domain, and second is interdisciplinary. My sociology graduate go and work for rain harvesting or is working on the project on uh, water management project. My NGOs goes, my student of sociology go and work on health enhancement project. So interdisciplinary perspective. My economic student go in agriculture, they go in industry, they go in even core economics. So liberal arts, which encourage the integration of knowledge from diverse fields and fostering the holistic understanding of the complex topics. And that's why our student must have a contextual awareness. So they have to consider from the multiple viewpoint and appreciate the nuisance of different discipline and enhancing their own decision making abilities. This aspect, this ability, again I'm telling you, we have to develop through the curriculum delivery. Instead of going through a traditional lecture method or lecture with a media method, we have to give the student the exposure of group discussions, some experiential learning, assignment, micro projects, flipped classroom, where this contextual awareness through the mini project, major project, sometimes expert lectures or field visit to the areas of application can be properly done in our case. And hence, the very much importantly, when we talk about cognitive domain, that intellectual versatility has to be there. Okay. The ability to synthesize information from various sources which will equip students to excel in wide range of careers and industries. This skill not given in the curriculum. Sometimes these are hidden skill, but as I mentioned to you in the very beginning, if you are not having this course or this content either in the ability enhancement program courses or skill orientation courses, you need to have some additive approach, a unique approach, so that you can develop these essential skills among the student. And hence, when we talk of that, this is a repetitive slide of that. So we as a teachers, of course, the other faculty can also take a note of this. So as a liberal arts, what type of teaching strategies we can employ? Okay, though already I stated you during my delivery, in my previous delivery, but still I am trying to cover this as a unique separate slide. Critical thinking, engage students in open-ended discussion, case studies, and problem-based learning to develop their ability to analyze, evaluate, and make informed decision. Again, since I give very much importance to liberal art as the same of commerce and science and technology, I must tell you, my dear professors, though you are using, but understand that we have to go for what skilling requirement, what ability enhancement skills are required to the student. Then interdisciplinary approach encourage student to make connection across different fields and apply knowledge in novel context. So this interdisciplinary approach you have to form, and as I said to you, all teachers from that program, from that department, they can sit together, see what is the requirement of the world, and accordingly design your curriculum. I always say that curriculum is X plus delta X. X is university curriculum, delta X is institute curriculum. This delta X tends to infinity. So you can change the future of the student provided you develop such type of the modules, and to foster the communication skills, you can give them enough opportunities to present their ideas, engage them in debates. It may be a group discussions, seminars, and presentation, and hone their written and verbal communication ability. So they must be properly deal with that when we talking on all these aspects. When we talk about critical thinking, encourage student to ask probing questions, explore diverse perspective while teaching only, and have a open and inquisitive sort of the mindset, develop that into that. For fostering analytical abilities, guide students in breaking down the complex issue. We know in the society we have a lot of economic, social, psychological, all issues are being involved into that. Can you take some problem and ask them to think while teaching a one particular course as such? And develop analytical skill, identifying underlying assumption, logical evaluating the evidences, and to reach to the well-reasoned conclusion. So during schooling, when I'm saying schooling, means when students are graduating, that self only with relevant to your course subject, you can plan this. Encourage creative solution. This you can address, provide opportunities for students to think outside the box. You'll have to experiment with novel approaches of problem solving. We did that. I know that there is a time constant, so I cannot go to every time giving you some examples. But then when we have this all aspect, we'll have to work on to that. Then emphasize on adaptability, equip student with the flexibility to adjust their strategy and perspective with changing circumstances and new information. You can give some tasks, as I mentioned to you, make them aware about the variety of the work environment, invite experts, arrange field visit during the graduation where student can work onto that. When we talk about effective communication, this is once again a area which is neglected. Okay, because obviously I am saying that you are not wrong, you are not being told, or hardly we have any academic discussions, but we have to understand that how the student will develop, how he is going to develop a ability to work in his career and life, and how, what are the strategies, what are the different approaches through which we can develop a effective communication. So encourage a student to fully engage with speakers, play one video clip or audio clip, or call an expert lecture, ask them to prepare a notes on that, ask some clarifying questions, and provide some thoughtful feedback to the students. Similarly, we have observed that many times students have very excellent idea, but they are not able to present it in a concise way. And in a business and industry, we have to go with a very concise and specific. So you guide students in organizing their ideas, using precise language, and delivering clear and compelling message, whether in written or verbal presentation. You might be having English as a one course or subject, but across the courses with relevant learning experience you can develop into that. Then empathetic approach, which is again is a part of attitude one need to develop, that really do he show a confidence. Okay, a part of attitude, a confidence is developed. He expressed the very whatever perspective he has got, he does with particular situation. He have really considering, more important is viewpoint of others, respecting others. So this we don't teach. Very sorry to say, my dear professor, if it is in your curriculum, it's well and good. But these are the skills which are hardly written somewhere, and we need to work on to the part aspect. And obviously, for effective communication, the multimedia fluency is very important. So they must be able to use the different, it may be a Excel spreadsheet, it may be a PowerPoint presentation, or anything for that matter. They must be able to do that. Then very importantly, as we discuss, is having a student innovation. When we go for, sorry, so we have to embrace divergent thinking. Okay, so encouraging student to explore unconventional ideas, challenge assumptions, and consider multiple perspectives to foster innovative solutions. So, how we do that? It may be, I mean, for any institutions, it may be rural, semi-urban, urban or metro cities. This ability need to develop by taking some case studies, by taking some problems. And as I told you, there are so many issues happening at a micro and macro level, which you can take it for an example for student. Promote experimentation. Provide a safe environment to students to take risk. Experiment with new approaches and learn from their failures. Under NSS, you must have adopted some village or some community-based projects where they know that students are learning and doing. So if at all problem is not fully resolved or slight deviation, they will be happy and our student will get an opportunity to learn. Of course, you have to think about some very emergency risk should not come into that, but how to take a risk into that we need to work. And of course here we talk of having a more of a community based learning, which will help you to develop this sort of experimentation skill, problem solving skill. Then inspire student to make connection between diverse field of study, blended ideas, techniques to create unique original concept. So they have domain knowledge, but to have a creativity and innovation, they must be applied in a diverse situation, in a diverse situation. And that diverse situation we need to create, as I said you earlier, inviting the experts from the different field wherein our students contribute, make them their field visit, have the projects also in that context, so that student develop this interdisciplinary approach and they does not remain only related to their domain. And obviously, when we talk about creativity and innovation, it's very important is to have a imaginative expressions. Okay. So how you engage and encourage students for a creative activities, hmm, design thinking, which we are going to talk about that, problem solving, so that their innovative potential can be properly tapped as such. So, dear professor from liberal arts and my all faculty, those who are connected, you will find some of the skill set is also required to all discipline as such. But herein, as I said before starting the presentation, that here this skill set is essential for the graduates. And once again, I'm saying that we as a teacher, we as an institute, we as a department, will have to see and have a holistic approach into implementing the delta X for your student as such. Now we'll move to the next faculty, skill development in business education, commerce and business education. Now, of course, one I have not touched during the liberal art that I will cover at the end is nowadays use of digital skills and artificial intelligence skill. Here I am mentioning you more out domain specific skills. Whatever I am presenting now is the domain specific skills. Other skills I will cover you at the end, which are common to all graduates. Now, coming back to the skill development in business education, the fundamental business skills, either a commerce student or business management student, effective communication is must. Business people working as an entrepreneur or working on a good position in the business and industry or banking and insurance sector and different business domains is effective communication, mastering written, verbal, and presentation skill to convey ideas clearly and persuasively. Very patiently, he has to work on to that. Okay. You have to analyze your curriculum, see which course can address that, and accordingly you should develop this particular skill. Second is problem solving skill. I'm talking about fundamental business skills. Problem solving skills. Developing analytical abilities to identify challenges, evaluate options, and implement innovative solutions. Let take for example, you want to start some retail business. In retail business, I'm giving in a semi-urban area. So one must be able to do a sort of a analysis of the situation. What challenges could be there in the starting in semi-urban? Metro situation is different, district is different, but when you come to the semi-urban, what are the challenges into that? Then can we start coming out the options, evaluating the options, and then implement the innovative solution. I am traveling many times across the country. I have seen even in the villages, now retail shop has come up. And they market with auto that this retail market shop is open and people go there. Means they must have certain strategy, but of course this is one example. There could be many examples for that matter. So problem solving expertise must be there. Why it is there? Number one, sales. If my sale is growing, how could I enhance my supply chain management? there is something imbalance in supply chain management. What are the different strategies and approach and solution to solve that? So such a problem solving abilities that we want to develop. Then critical thinking process, cultivating the capacity to analyze information, think strategically, and make well-informed decision. So these three are fundamental business skills, keep in mind, which our commerce students, our business management student, they have to have, they need to imbibe, and therein we should make an attempt at that in a respective course, or by adding to delta x, you can do so. Now, when we coming back to very specific of specialized skill, specialized technical skills to the students of commerce and business management, accounting, finance, and data analysis. Okay, these are the essential skills, core skill. So, mastering the fundamental of financial reporting, budgeting, cost management to ensure the organization financial health. So accounting expertise is essential. I just wanted to share you one example at this moment. Just 2 days before, I met one doctor. She is a dentist. She is dentist, and we were talking. She was asking me कि some of the patients are questioning about the cost of treatment. So, shall I reduce the cost of the treatment? In our discussion, we had a agenda. I asked her, what is the material cost? What is the labor cost? What are the overheads? And based upon that, you calculate. You see what is this and what is the profit that you decide onto that. Many time, you must have studied So I'm sorry there was some power problem. Uh, so I'll just start sharing my file once again. Just give me a minute. So, dear professors, we were talking about. Meantime, there was today being Thursday in Pune, we have a electric cut is there in between. So that made me to get disconnected from you. I'm very sorry for the inconvenience to all of you. I'm coming back now with my presentation. So, as we were discussing just now, the example of a one doctor. Likewise, I was giving you the example of Colgate paste. A 4 decade before, those who have you might have read this case study. Colgate, when was doing some market analysis and they were trying to see the sales, they observed that the quantity of the toothpaste being sold in the market compared to the other brand was going down. Then they are given this task, to their research team and ask them just find out the solution. And my dear professor, they come out with the solution. They collected the even sample of a different brand, and they come to know that the basic problem was with the design of the outer side of the phrase. The portion, the core through which the paste is coming up, the top of the tip, that itself was very small as compared to the other brands. And that has made that their consumption become very less to the student to the market as such. So it means to say that we have to have our student tell them about the process of accounting, how the accounting really performs, what are the different abilities that are required on the cost management, on the budgeting, etc., that we need to start. Second is financial acumen is required. Miss, our student, you know that our student to work in the financial organization, banking sector, insurance sector, trading sector, and even industries and business. So they must have a proficiency in the strategies of financial investment, capital budgeting, and they must have a very good aspect on the business analytical processes. So how do you, miss, how do you collect the market data? It may be a sales data, it may be a marketing data, or it may be any type of the consumer related, sales related, marketing related issue. So a data analysis and statistics modeling is very important so that they can go for a predictive forecasting and going for a business intelligence to the market. So the specialized technical skills which are required to our commerce graduate, they come under these particular abilities. Going further, interpersonal skills, teamwork, and leadership. Now, in context to the commerce graduate, we have to analyze and we have to foster these interpersonal skills, teamwork, and leadership among these students, because Sorry. Yeah. Once again, I'm sorry for the interruption. I'm sorry for the interruption. So, when we talk of these skills required, so we develop effective teamwork, visionary leadership, and negotiation powers. Students work either they go as a bank manager, they work in the field of insurance, they work in the economic sector for the different industry and organization, and therein it's very important that they work in a team. To be an entrepreneur, or even when they are working as a say bank manager or heads of different sectors, they should have to have a very visionary leadership. So inspiring the team building, developing the approach of solving or taking strategic decision, and guiding them to achieve the organization goals. How we, of course, we teach this course in the college through our curriculum, but equally it is required that these specific skills are to be properly addressed and developed among the student as such. Negotiation, we know that the art of negotiation is very much required for the mutual beneficial agreements, navigate complex stakeholder interests, and create value driven outcomes. These commerce students, because I work with many chartered accountant, I work with many banks and finance, there when it come to the even rate of interest, or whenever it come to the scheme to be purchased, or whenever we want to involve or give the some sort of the dividend to the our stakeholders, shareholders, there also we come across the negotiation powers as such. So negotiation powers to the our commerce and business students are need to be developed to be successful in their profession as such. We know that key majority of the commerce and business management students, they more prefer to become an entrepreneur. So entrepreneur skills which required innovations, risk taking, and opportunity identification. These skills must be there among the student, that our student develop, because you know that they go for a they go to many students go and work in cost accounting, they go as a company secretary. Some of students also do and work in the chartered accountancy, or they may start their own accounting business. Okay, they may be in the cell tax consultant by offering a conducting a one more program. So they have a good entrepreneurial opportunities, and even within the organization, because many times when you see the business and industry environment, the entire responsibility is given to the graduate, the working commerce and business management graduate, or whosoever may be a postgraduate, to come out with the solutions. And hence our student might be getting employment in the industry or a business or bank and insurance. We must develop a ability of creative problem solving. Okay. So here also we talk about ability to think out of box, because these days even to the banks, with the national banks, the customer make lot of negotiations, and that is why a diverse novel solutions he must be able to come out with that. Nowadays we know that if you see any banking sector, earlier they were only having a business transaction in the bank. But every bank, it may be a public bank or private bank or nationalized bank or international banking, they are having various verticals. And whenever verticals are there, you and when you are sitting there, you have to come out with a various creative problem solving. And obviously, there we require a calculated risk taking. And that's why we, while teaching the student a respective course, unless and until we modify our teaching strategy, we won't be able to develop these skills which are required, demanded by the industry. And when again I am saying industry doesn't mean manufacturing industry or engineering industry, but including that banking industry, ensuring industry, agriculture industry and different business and development. So is to say is equally require the digital literacy. Lot of softwares are being used in the commerce and business management, which you must be addressing through the curriculum. So, mastering the latest productivity software like cloud-based collaboration tools, AI-powered writing assistants, which will really streamline the workflows and boost the efficiency. SAP is used, so many ERPs used, and of course nowadays you know that to have the, if you take then you must have heard about the Amazon, how the Amazon is making or planning delivering the goods, how they are using the robot, and how they are using the apps and software for that. So, our student of commerce and business management must also have the ability of going for the mastering these productivity software. Every company, every retailer, every industry have their own customized ERP, and that's why our student must be taught into that. Then a fluency in data visualization technique, because nowadays the all type of the whatever you use app or you use software or any platform for that matter, there is a dashboard for infographics where you will be able to filter or see what is the information. It may be sales, it may be loss, it may be profit, it may be a customer, which will really give you a clear picture for you to solve the problem. And hence you can take appropriate decision in that direction. So, we have to develop a data visualization skills among the student when you are addressing the digital literacy among the emerging technology and software. Essentially, we know that there is a nowadays lot of digital marketing strategies are coming up. And for digital marketing, apart from the knowledge of commerce and business management, one required the skill, the ability of search engine optimization, social media management, at least some knowledge of content creation, so that they can effectively reach to the engaging the customer. Means might be that earlier we have not thought of these skills, these are the micro skills, but as I said to you in the very beginning, the industry want ready-made graduates. And when they want ready-made graduates, we have to see that they are being well trained, they have been well educated, and they are aware about what are the trends in business and industry. So, from digital literacy point of view, we also have to go for a developing the proficiency among the graduates of the commerce and business management. In the business, it's very important to take ethical decision making. Whenever we solve a complex problem, because you know that the market is very competitive, there are a lot of competition. At the same time, the standards, the rules, the norms and standards of the different bodies has become very stringent. Even our tax system is very systematic now. So, when you do you deal with this business and commerce student at their graduation, it's very all the time possible that there is a ethical dilemma may occur. And to happen to that, we have to develop how the complex business can be resolved, how you can navigate the complex business scenario as I narrated to you, because that ethical decision makes very important. We cannot do just by giving some wrong products or low quality products to the customer, because at last what will happen, the our customer will get dissatisfied, our sale will get down, and we will be the loss. So ethics, human values and ethics in business competition, how you go for, that's why we require innovation, we require critical thinking. So a moral reasoning skill which will really come out with a proper solution to take appropriate actions on the stakeholders. Sometimes it is related to the environment, sometimes it is related to the society. So all that ethical decision making skills are essentially required, which we need to develop among the graduates. Global mindset. With globalization, we have seen that there are no boundaries now. We have international business already entered into the market. It is being manufactured or services are being provided. Same, there is an export also. And obviously, when we go and set up ourselves, or when there are international market into the India, we have to develop a cross cultural awareness and international business practices among the students. They must be properly exposed to the appreciating the diverse culture, the customs, the communication styles, and there how we have to go and find out the strategy where we can effectively navigate our student in future when they go in the world of market with the international market or multinational teams. We know that or you must be experiencing that your student, your graduates from commerce and business management, they are now working in a multinational companies, multinational business. So in a global mindset is required, and that global mindset be required when we work into this particular domain as such. And as we see that in all these aspects, as differently we mention about the lifelong learning, adapting, and continuous professional development. I am telling you the story of a 2 years before, when GST was already was in mature stage. That time GST was not taught to the commerce student. Of course, in future also, new tax system, new tax act, new import export policies, new banking policies, banking business, is going to change. And that's why for embracing the change, the we need to develop, cultivate a mindset of adaptability, adapting easily to the new technology, new industry trends, shifting market demand, and accordingly getting ourselves continuous upskilling. It may be through training, maybe through conferences, or might be on the job experiences. So you need to continuously upskill ourselves, because as I said earlier, you as a teacher, you must be knowing that the accounting or in banking all was done by hand only. It was a manual, I mean to say. It's a manual. All was manual. But now there is a drastic change into that. Okay, giving one example of only banking sector or insurance sector, nothing talking about other business. And hence one need to have this continuous upskilling to be a part of that, and that attitude and ability you need to develop when we go to the development of your graduate in your institution. Growth mindset. Adopting the growth mindset will allow individuals to view the challenges, what opportunities are required, and thereby we can improve yourself. Your self improvement, your business improvement is possible. So a growth mindset, generally, as we know that if student is given good exposure, good training, they can think like this, and that's why we need to follow those strategies as such. And obviously we have to give them a diverse perspective of the business, especially for commerce and business. As I mentioned to you in the liberal arts, unlike science and technology, you will not find a civil engineer in every firm, a mechanical engineering in all sectors of business, but you will find commerce and business graduate is there. So such a diverse perspective is there, and somewhere through continuous professional development, lifelong learning ability, we have to develop among the students the diverse perspective which is required to that. When we talk about this aspect, let us quickly see that what could be the teaching strategies. Already I have discussed, elaborated at that specific point, but once again I am catching that particular slide. One is analytical and decision making skill. Equip student with the ability to gather and analyze data, identify trends, make informed and strategic decision, and how to solve complex business problem. You must have to have economics times, business times, a lot of discussions on the forum, make students to attend on television program where they can develop the analytic and decision making skills. So apart from the assignment, experiential learning, you can also give the student sort of exposure to solve the complex problem as such. Teamwork and collaboration. Of course, our students are and business management graduate in every organization, irrespective of what domain they are offering. So they must have an ability to work in a diverse teams, delegate responsibilities, communicate effectively, and leveraging collectively to achieve the goal of organization. In our days, I'm talking about my own days, when we were going to the college, commerce and business is equal to bank. Even that time there was no insurance. But now you will find what a huge scope and opportunities are there for the student. And obviously, either as an employee or as a businessman, he has to have a entrepreneurial mindset, which you can encourage among the student by recognizing market opportunities, by developing innovative solution. So you can give them variety of exercises into that. Similarly, analytical and decision making skills. This also you have to develop. So you can equip student with ability to gather, analyze, interpret data. Okay. Then fostering critical evaluation. You can give some case studies to a student. Either you can drop the case study or you can take some case study so that you can have a evidence based judgment in a dynamic business environment. That sort of the learning experience is required to give it to the students. And we need to encourage students to approach problem solving with flexibility. We teach students costing, but costing, can I give the example of costing in varied domain, accounting in different domain, taxation in different business environment? So, a adaptive mindset to the new situation is required to be there, and that's why we has to have a very proficiency in financial analysis, in statistical modeling, and whatever new techniques are coming for the quantitative techniques in the which are more of a data driven. Nowadays, we talk about data science and data analytics. I am going to come to that, but that is also very essentially required to the student. Teamwork and collaboration. Now, see the skill and the strategy. So, fostering group to exercise and use a diverse perspective, collaborative way to tackle to the problem and solving them. Because we know our graduate working in a diversified field, it's not only bank. Then encourage students to take collective responsibility on the project, and this is to be developed. This ability we need to develop through our mini project, our community based project, where they feel accountable and they can leverage their individual strength to achieve the whatever the goal that you have set for that activity. And obviously, needless to say, we have to have a very effective communication. Okay. Empathy, which already we talked about, so very active listening, very constructive feedback, and clear articulation of the ideas. Whatever we discuss in the case of the liberal art, similarly here we have to go into that. In the business situation, equally there are chances of conflicts. Disputes are going to be there. So our students need to train on equipping them to navigate the differences, how to mediate the dispute, how to find the mutual beneficial solution, and thereby contributing to resolving the conflict and enter into the real world. This is the world, this is the business. Okay. Since this is as we are all educated, experienced, and these all things, we can give good examples to the students while we deliver into that. So, this part which talks about the commerce and business management, if you have this way, these skills can be very well developed. Okay. We'll just have a 2 minutes of bio break and I'll come back to you. Just 2 minutes. I'm online. I will not leave the meeting. I'm online. No, ma'am. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Sorry. No, no, no. Definitely, I'll be coming. Only thing I was about to request your the one who is handling. I know she asked me for the car vehicle number. No, but I don't know because of my engagement with the university JSPM. So you can only tell the that gate about my name because I may come by taxi or I may come by my own vehicle. I don't know. Huh? Please, please, please. I'm coming, reaching there by quarter to two on plan. Yeah, yeah. Quarter to two or two, I will be there. Huh? Yeah. Is it all our participants are management or they are from the multidisciplinary? Okay, fine. Okay, sure. Just to have. Thank you. Thank you so much for valuable inputs. Thank you. Thank you. Sure. Good. Thank you. Yes, welcome back to the presentation. So we were dealing with the aspect related to liberal art and commerce. Now we'll shift to the skills which are required in science education. Okay. The fundamental science skills which are required are proficient lab techniques and experimental methods for data collection. They must be well conversant with this skill. This is the demand. Okay, this is the demand. Okay, because as I said regarding liberal art and commerce graduate, even science graduate and technology graduates, which are demanded in the business and industry, they want ready-made graduates. And many of our students, they get rejected at the time of interview only. The reason for that they lack of this particular skill which are fundamental in nature. Okay, so that's why proficient lab technicians. So what lab techniques are there, and then what are the experimental methods for data collection? They must be proficient into that. Mastery of scientific instrumentation and equipment operation. Now you will find the how the science and technology has changed. You must be observing very closely with the health sciences. All if you go to the hospital, you will find that all is a science-based industry. Okay, all is industry, science-based industry. So in this context, they must be being trained, educated. Since of course I understand physics student can deal with very nicely with the instrumentation, but there are scientific instrument also nowadays which are used in our institution, in our university. So using those instrument, because they whatever we have a miniature of the what is available in the hospitals and industry. So our student must have a scientific instrumentation and equipment operation. These are skills we need to develop. Then observational skills and the ability to interpret the empirical evidences. So the observation skills must be very well grounded amongst the graduates. So the skills which are demanded and required, where we found not across the country, but we found that these are lacking by the graduates, and we must focus on developing these things. Same regarding the critical thinking and problem solving. So our student must be have a analytical reasoning power, identify the core issues, because they are working either in a food processing or pharmaceutics, or they may be working in certain laboratories, or they may be working in some hospitals. So while doing so, in doing so, as I mentioned, it's a chemistry student will go to the paint industry, and so on to so on. A analytical reasoning is very must based upon the product to be developed or product is to be manufactured, or if there are certain deviation, one should be able to identify the core issues. So the skills required to the science graduate: analytical reasoning, identifying core issues, and come out with the innovative solutions that is there. Then creative problem solving techniques and leveraging divergent and convergent thinking both way. Both way, this sort of ability that we need to develop among our educators, our graduates, sorry, so our graduates, so that they can come out with a, nowadays we talk about, taking one example of organic, everything is organic. So how you come out with a creative problems related to organic matter of that. Now everything organic may not be possible from profit point of view or economic point of view or consumer point of view. Then in that case, how we can go for a creative problem solving, having a divergent convergent thinking, wherein I can give a sort of semi-organic product. For example, I have taken this. Then evaluate evidence objectively, challenge assumptions, and draw logical conclusions. So when you are teaching your students of undergraduate and postgraduate, I know being a teacher, we do not go to that particular depth. Okay. Of course, always there are exceptions. There are time constant, and sometimes there is a lot of sharing, like it is happening today or on occasion of such a FDP. So we have to work on these aspects. When we talk about experimentation, especially, there we have to come with, formulate the hypothesis, select the appropriate methods, and implement rigorous protocols. What I said to you in the first method, first slide in the science, this skilling is the experimental method. So rigorous protocol they must be able to use. You go to any industry for that matter, they want our science graduates to follow and have that skill to use whatever the protocols are said for that particular product in that particular industry. Somewhere when they work in the development stage in an industry or in research area, there we have to have a formulating hypothesis and selecting the appropriate methods. And that's why nowadays our undergraduate program of BSc has become now like other BA and BCom also honors, so that in the fourth year we can give them some sort of the input on the research and experimentation. This skilling is required for the students. So whenever we are teaching school to any course, or you are conducting laboratories or some projects or some sort of the value added activity, we need to develop this ability among the student. Very importantly, as we understand and we appreciate and we value, is a publication. So, scientific communication and presentation. Effectively communicating scientific finding is very crucial for advancing the knowledge and impacting the real world application. And that's why our students should master techniques to convey complex idea through dynamic, visually engaging presentation and captive diverse audience. So, your scientific presentation, scientific communication, publication, presentation, that must be well, is very essential when we go for a science education as such. The ethical consideration, of course, come herein as well. But here, ethical consideration in sciences has got the some more additional, that we must have an integrity. I need not tell you the example, but what happened recently in India? Upholding the highest standards of honesty and transparency, all scientific endeavors, from data collection to report findings. We know, I need not discuss those incidences, but unless and until we have a highest standards of honesty and transparency, it will not happen. And so we need to develop that sort of the ability among the student to be an integral, to be committed, to be honest, and that sort of the attitude we need to develop. Objectivity. Whenever we talk of science, there should not be biases. So unbiased mindset, setting up the personal biases or agendas, and to focus on more and more on reliable and valid results. These skills, this ability we need to develop. Then social responsibility. We know that the broader societal and environmental impacts of all scientific discoveries, and that strive to use knowledge for greater good. So both way we have seen that on one side how it has affected on the environment and society, and how it is beneficial to the society. So one need to have a social responsibility. And while doing so, very popularly or very clearly or in a very professional way, we have to have a informed consent. Obtain voluntary and informed consent for research participants, respecting their autonomy and protecting their well-being. It is very important that these are skills and ability we need to develop among the students when we go for that. Now, as we see in every field, every field, the interdisciplinary collaboration is important. Could be for that reason, in National Education Policy 2020, you will find more significance or emphasis is given on multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary education. So diverse expertise. So a science is required in every field. It is required in agricultural, it's required in industry, it required in food technology, it required in textiles. So diverse expertise is very essential. We must have a innovative problem solving. So that methodology we need to develop, where we can have a go with student with a dynamic discussion, share their insight and generate the innovative solution for that. And obviously for that we have to go for a synergistic teamwork. Synergistic teamwork will help collaborative environment and address the need of the customer, need of the whatever product company or whatever project you are developing. And hence, at a higher level, when you go to the postgraduate, you should be able to have a very impactful type of the research which will contribute to the student and this thing. Obviously, this required a continuous learning, hmm, because what is not changing is the technology. So continuous skill development are required. So our growth mindset and upskilling is required in this case. Then adapting to the change. Now, recently you must have read the news that the AI is going to be used in the agricultural also. So our science graduate have to adapt their science to the changing technological and product requirement. So applying our knowledge in new context is become very important, and that is why all the time you should have a intellectual curiosity in our case as well. So in science education, you can emphasize more students on hands-on experience, giving some micro projects, some research projects. We should foster curiosity driven approach, ask question, means foster encourage student to ask the question, design investigation, and obviously we have to give them some interdisciplinary approach in mathematics, in technology, engineering, or real world problem environment for that matter, how it can be integrated. So a multidisciplinary perspective need to be given to our student also. And for that you can practice variety of approaches, making student to have a analytical mindset. So you can have different approaches to work into that, giving more and more experimentation beyond the college activities, giving them, asking them to test, to work on the real life problem as such, and come out with the using the technology, using the softwares, using the tools which are currently used in the industry. So leveraging the technology is also very important to show that. So dear professor, this is all what we talked about till now, a domain specific skill set which are required in higher education. Sometimes they are the part of the curriculum, sometimes in the NEP, as I mentioned, they may be part of a ability enhancement program, or they may be a part of a skill courses. And as I said, you can also have a one more component on a skill based courses or value added courses, in which based upon the presentation you can find the gaps and you prepare your graduates for their future work requirements. Now, very quickly, as I said you, it is going to be somewhere the sort of the repetition, but understand in every program, every faculty, every domain, it may be liberal arts and humanities, it may be commerce and business management or science and technology. Every time we thought of, there has to be an interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary approach. So taking to this one atom, very quickly I will say, although I have already discussed, I will quickly work on to that. We have to have equip students with a broader and more adaptable skill set to tackle complex and real world problems which are diverse in nature. Also, to work in this diverse nature in a multidiscipline, foster critical thinking, innovation, ability to approach challenges, different perspective, and we must prepare our graduate for the evolving job market with a good value for cross functional collaboration and interdisciplinary expertise. So, here need not to repeat again, but when you are working in a uh, multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary approach, we require critical thinking and problem solving. So in the today's world, this has become very important because not only our curriculum, why NEP talks about interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary, because actually graduates goes in a different variety of field, but they are not aware about that. Now we are introducing at the same time you have to go with that. Effective communication and collaboration becomes the core so that they develop the ability to bridge the disciplinary divides, synthesize the knowledge, and arrive at the correct solution. So, domain specific communication is there, but herein, in interdisciplinary environment, in a multidisciplinary environment, this is a communication in a team. So, to develop this ability to bridge disciplinary divide, synthesize the knowledge, we have to have a very effective communication, and in that context we need to work. Adaptability and flexibility, though we have discussed earlier, here we know that there are embracing changes are happening. These programs help students to adapt to evolving circumstances and new changes, and that are being very dynamic, very dynamic. Earlier we thought of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence was a part of science, but no, as I mentioned you, in the university where I'm a member of governing council at JSPM University, Pune, we have for liberal art and humanities, for commerce and business management, for health sciences, science and technology, everywhere we have artificial intelligence, data science, machine learning, and vice versa. Economics is taught to them, financial is taught to everyone, business management is taught to everyone. Means to say, these are the changes which have to make student to adapt to that. And obviously, this requires a collaborative versatility which we'll have to develop by planning a very much unique approach respective to your location of your institute and the learners who are coming from the different demography as such. And when we work in this situation, resilience and resourcefulness is must. So how you come out the obstacles, how you come out with the creative solution, and how really we work on the multiple domains that we need to address, and we need to properly work on to that. This is equally required. We respect each other. The only two-line statement to this particular slide: is that have a moral framework, have a empathy, have a social responsibility, understand the social impact into that, follow the professional norms and standards, which will bring in professional integrity and nuanced judgment. So you must be make well reasoned, very ethical judgment onto that. This ethics in a interdisciplinary. In disciplinary, we do that. But when there's a interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary, these ethical standards one need to form. And when we talk of all these aspects, obviously needless to say that when we are working in the work environment, the integrating the knowledge across the discipline, a holistic perspective, a multifaceted analysis will help you into that, and that skills we need to develop. In this aspect, we know that entire market is going to change. The work where we are going to have is going to change. So we have a cross functional expertise, and that's why coming with a lifelong learning mindset, interdisciplinary collaborations, and innovative problem solving in a evolving job market is very important. And while developing the graduates, we need to work on that particular aspect. So having discussed all these are the some additional skills may be common in all programs, all faculties, but when you work in an interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary approach, we have just seen that what are the add-on skills and what is the context of that which is required to that. Now, next is digital skills in higher education. I need not tell you because already we discussed when you talk about digital skills for liberal art faculties, there is a digital research, then information literacy which is coming up. We know there is a fluency in digital writing, in multimedia storytelling, then competence in data analysis and visualization. So, as an economist, as a sociologist, as a psychologist, as a literature, these the digital skills are equally required for our students of liberal art faculty. Huh? So this is where we need to emphasize more into that. When we talk about business management and commerce, the digital skills which are required, proficiency in financial modeling and data analytics software. Such as softwares are being used in bank, in the insurance, in the business and industry. So you must give them good sufficient exposure to the students on this software to inform how the strategic business decisions are taken for. So for business management and commerce, the financial modeling and data analytics software must be taught. Then expertise in digital marketing and the techniques like social media management, search engine optimization, this must be taught to our students when they are graduating. And as I said, there are different projects on the softwares and the project management and collaboration tools to coordinate cross-functional teams and remote work. Take an example of Amazon, or why we talk of Amazon, even DMart, you will find how that project is managed. There are so many products they are offering, and in that product offering, they are going to have a managing this project collaborating with the different people, and they are using the softwares for that. So they are going to go after graduation, they are going to go with that type of environment, and that's why we must see and we must educate student into that. For the science student, we have to have a exposure to them on scientific computing, data visualization tools, which will help us to really communicate the research findings. Earlier, we were having very limited to the MATLAB and all these things, but now you will find good number of statistical tools, experimental tools have come up where they can have a scientific computing and data visualization. Then expertise in lab equipment automation and remote experimentation. Because of AI, because of sensor, controllers, microprocessor and automation, all these things has become very important that our students should have a digital skills in lab equipment automation. Lab equipment means not our college labs, but when they will go in the world of work, if they come across with this type of the laboratories, how they can atomize that, which will develop the accuracy, precision and also the efficiency and productivity. Then fluency in scientific writing and digital publishing platforms. So there are so many digital platforms which are available. So we must be able to train them into that. And for that, of course, as I said to you, we have a collaboration and communication tools for which are, as I said, you SAP and ERP, the project managing, issue tracking, communication, all this being done by the science graduate, and they must be properly being trained, educated, so that today's digital driven professional landscape can be properly addressed. So somewhere we have to work on to that. Then everywhere we talk about the very media, either it's a science, commerce or arts, a student must be have their own digital portfolio, and I'm sure majority of they are having their YouTube channels, their blogs and everything. But to times to come, content creation. So developing a multimedia skill to create a engaging digital content, that ability we have to do. Not only that, to curate the digital resource and evaluate and do a good organization of content for effective communication of the ideas. Then, as I mentioned, you digital portfolios, your creativity, your critical thinking, you can have your own portfolio which you can maintain to that, and proper these content, digital content you have to develop. Everyone now, every graduate, irrespective of which faculty he or she becomes, you should have a good skills and skills on the cyber security and privacy awareness. So privacy awareness and cyber security, because there are a lot of online frauds are happening. So what are the online safety practices? How the data privacy and protection is being done? Then what is the meaning of responsible digital citizenship? And come out with some tools emerging threats and trends. What are those and which are those trends and threats, and how we can work on to that? So even we know that today, if you get nowadays, if you call somebody, you'll get a message on telephone about the cyber happening in the business, not only in the banking sector. Okay. So when we talk of that, we have to go with a very specific approach of doing this cyber security and privacy awareness. You can have a small module, or you can plan 2 days or 3 days workshop where you make student to understand about what are these different skills which are required to the student. And as I said, we have to have a continuous learning in these skills which we can properly done. Then design thinking. So in the design thinking, we the what follow the cycle, we define, we ideate, we prototype, we test, we implement, and ultimately we emphasize. So this will give rise to creativity and innovation, and that's why when we talk of a solving a problem, creativity, and when we talk of a innovation, this design thinking is a user centric, is a iterative process of solving complex problem. So every faculty, every domain, we discuss that they have to solve the innovation. They have to do the creativity. They need to solve the problems. So if you develop within them design thinking skill, ideating the solution, prototyping and testing, which will help student to work more and more. When I talk about design thinking in liberal arts, we can have you can foster interdisciplinary thinking and problem solving across diverse field. You can cultivate creativity, innovation, and adaptability, which is really required in 21st century careers. Then encourage students to emphasize with end user and consider multiple perspective. So then hands-on experiential learning, prototyping, you can go with a liberal arts. For the business students, obviously you can have a give them a task of equipping student with a customer centric mindset and coming to a innovative problem solving skills. So by integrating designing skill, you can make student to nurture entrepreneur spirit, because we know, as I said, the commerce and business management student go more for the business, so they can go for the really develop the ability of entrepreneurial spirit, collaboration abilities, tolerance and ambiguity, etc., etc., etc. For the science student, obviously, ideating the possibilities, developing the prototypes, and whatever we talk about the fundamental skills which are required, they will automatically get developed, because the world of science graduate is more often a data, more of a experimentation, most of a prototypes, and based upon the feedback to solve the problem which are required into that. So they understand and develop that particular skill into that. So we can have a for the across the discipline, you can develop these design thinking skills through experiential learning, through interdisciplinary collaboration, to expose design experts, have expert lectures, and you follow a conduct a design thinking workshop, which we discussed some time before. So these can really develop this design thinking as such, and you can have variety of the approaches. You can have an interdisciplinary approach under NEP. We are doing so. You can have a design studio, which is common to all students. They can come and experiment. You can have a design competition, hackathon, which you can plan, and there when you can have some specific courses where students are intent to go become an entrepreneur. So that is how we have to develop. Somewhere I'm because of the time constant, I am going for that. Now, coming to the last but one skills is artificial intelligence skills for university graduates. So, when we talk of that, as I said in the beginning, the fundamental AI concepts and principles must be known to all the graduates in the college, irrespective whether they are arts, commerce, or science. What is machine learning? So, understanding the core principles which are supervised and which really on the basis of which the artificial intelligence is working. So, whatever database management we are doing, that sort of algorithm for the machine learning must be known to every student. Then neural network, how the data is extracted, what the required data we can go. So gaining the knowledge of deep learning architecture and ability to solve the complex. So they must have a neural network problem solving that we need to develop. So as I said, we have to go for a very systematic approach. You might have provided one course as a skill course or ability enhancement course in your curriculum. Otherwise, in these days, it is a current need that you must give the fundamentals of AI, neural language processing, large language model that should, so that they can comprehend the techniques which are used and understand and generate the different output of that. The machine learning techniques which our student must know, should have an idea about that regression and classification, because whenever on any environment they are using, how that regression is there. So developing the proficiency in building the predictive models for the solving the numerical and categorical data, that is must be taught to them. And along with that, when I'm saying data management, you need to cluster that. And in clustering, we have to identify the patterns and different complex of the data set that must be which is deal in the algorithm in the machine learning, and accordingly they must be able to give and teach about what engine, what algorithm is required for that. When we talk about natural language understanding, as student you can have in the own style, as I mentioned, a some workshop, if not a part of curriculum, how the natural language processing and understanding goes. So how the text is processed, as we know, we talk about prompt or prompt engineering. So how that, as we brain think, we have to give the inputs about text processing, sentiment analysis, what data is required, what is the customer review, or what is the social media. So we can use into that and develop a system that can understand and respond to the natural language question. So natural language processing, as I mentioned to you, large language models are coming up, where when we work in the AI environment and when we talk about machine learning, deep learning, and natural language processing, NLP, these basic concepts and skill that our student must have. And hence, for that matter, the computer vision and image analysis, this may be taught. Again, my dear professor, I am talking across the discipline, not only science and technology, because this is being going to use everywhere. Okay, when our student will go, they can go in the industry or they can go anywhere, they can work on to that particular formula. Future is on robotics and automation. I already mentioned when I was talking about the science and technology. But it has come, the automation has come in commerce and business. I have given you the mention of Amazon. Lakhs and crores of people go on Amazon daily. How they are measuring the supply chain management, and beyond that, how this automation takes place, how robots are used. So sensor, controls system, motion planning, computer vision, this sort of the input must be given to the student across the discipline. Similarly, data science, data analytics and visualization. So data, whatever data we work all on data, so data pre-processing, which we generally do during our PhD work, then exploratory analyze the data, then go for a predictive modeling and data visualization. This has become equal in economics, in sociology, in science, in commerce and business. So this basic knowledge must be, this skill must be there to the student as such. And obviously, when we talk about artificial intelligence, it's very important these ethical considerations. So bias and fairness, ensure that AI systems do not perpetuate societal bias and discriminate unfairly. Then protect individual privacy and data security. Then develop AI with a clear decision making process and the ability to explain the model outputs. And of course, in this case, you have to think about what is the broader social impact. And in that case, I want all my professor, if not a part of curriculum, you can have a small module to the first year, second year, third year, so that student by the time of graduation, they get very closely associated with, aware about artificial intelligence, and of course by machine learning, deep learning, neural language processing, all those aspects, and of course about the automation that are happening. Coming to the last set of skill which are required in the life skills in higher education. So we many times we prepare graduate for the work required skills, but somewhere we also required to see that to be a part of society or to be a successful in his or her life, or to be really growing mindset is there and really helping him for the self growth and organizational growth. So what life skills are being given? So these life skills, they encompasses broad range of personal, social and practical abilities. You can see on your left side, work ethics, then listening, speaking, becoming confident, isn't it? Having the social skills. So these are the broad range of personal, social and practical abilities that empower individual to navigate the complexities of the modern life. As I said, these skills go beyond academic knowledge, equipping students with tools of thinking critically, communicate effectively, and adapt to the diverse situation in the life as well as career. And hence, we have to develop the sort of these skills among the student, which though we have discussed earlier, but these are the life skills. Why they call it a life skill? Because they are required in the life as well as in the career. So in teaching the curriculum, the both aspect, developing a multiple perspective and develop an ability to have a good assumptions. And for that, we have to develop this is which is nowadays we know that in business, in the society, in the family, there may be small problem or some issues that we need to go and we need to talk on to the students. Then effective communication and interpersonal skills, very important. We talk of empathy. Many times we talk about within the organization there is a lot of stress. Why stress is there? Why this stress like condition is created? And we know that the stress will very soon converted to conflict between ourselves. So in this context, we need to develop that when you are working in a team, when we are working in a family or society or in an organization, the effective communication and interpersonal skills are very importantly to be addressed and to be taught. And when we say that, even equally it is required some time to teach students about the different non-verbal skills, the body language, the gestures and postures. So it's not that it's only required for some XYZ student, but it is required and some attempts must be done to that. Then emotional intelligence and self-awareness. This is one of the root issue in many students. So they must have a good knowledge of themselves. So how do you create that self-awareness? To understand one's own emotion, strength, and weakness. That courage we need to develop. And obviously, the empathy to recognize and appreciate the feelings and the perspective of others. To be successful in the life and career, my dear professor, these skills are very important. And as I said in the beginning of this particular skill discussion, that this is beyond curriculum. This is beyond degree certificate which we are going to develop. And then the enhancing the emotional regulations so that they can manage to the impulses in their life and respond to the challenges with a resilience. And that's why this is very important in the world of work, in the industry and business, at the same time in our day-to-day life, in family, in the society, or wherever we work for that. And unfortunately, it is not part of the curriculum, and we need to develop this aspect. Same as I said to you in the earlier, student need to develop a skills on the growth mindset. Okay, so that they get adapting to that. Though we have discussed this in the many cases, but as a life skills, I have taken here in that. Then time management and organization. Every organization want time, everything in time. So time management skill in our personal life, our social life, our professional life is very important because time management skill will help us to prioritize the task, minimize the distractions, and meet whatever your target and deadlines very effective. And hence, our student need to teach about the time management and how it is significant in the when you go to the actually world of work. Also, the culture of organization. What are the organizational habits? And thereby contributing to the productivity of the system. This is again a life skills. Either you are working, or you are an entrepreneur, or you are working from the family or self point of view. Financial literacy and budgeting, these skills must be there, which are useful for the lifetime. Either you are an entrepreneur, or your employee, sorry, or your employee, or you are a mother, father, or you are a son or daughter. So understanding the personal finance principles are saving investment, we must do this to the student, irrespective of the which faculty. They must be taught about the budgeting and how we can use different money management tool as such. To be successful in the life, I'm talking in the broader aspect of life. I mean, as a self, as a family, as a society, and as an organization, as a profession. So, these leadership skills, which will inspire, which will motivate, and guide everyone towards the shared goal. So, such a important. So, they need to tell that you have to have this type of ability and leadership skills, which will motivate your colleagues, your friends, your society. Then working in a collaboration to solve the problem, not in isolation. And as I said sometime before, there are going to be a conflicts. So how you resolve those conflicts, this must be taught as a part of life skills among the students. And this you can have the different strategies to integrate life skills into the curriculum. You can have a multidisciplinary courses. You can have experiential learning, or you can have a collaborative learning environment, or even you can encourage self-reflection and personal growth activities, or even you can partner with the experts or subject expert or industry expert and do sort of a community real life working as such. So, dear professor, it's very important that in this context we have to develop these all skill based learning into the curricula, whatever we discuss about. As I told you, already universities, autonomous institution is coming with NEP based curriculum. We have made the provisions for ability enhancement program courses and skill based courses, but there are certain skills which are beyond those courses where we need to do through delivering a routine curriculum as such. So when we go for experiential learning, interdisciplinary approach, and a faculty development, we want to work that. So the future of higher education is prioritizing the skill development. So everyone, we have to see that there is an employer demand, there is an evolving job market, and even student expectations. So the desire of education that really directly translate to career success. So we want to really address to all these things. So with this, I conclude my session, and we have 5 minutes time. If you have some questions, you can ask through the chat box. Sorry, I have given only 5 minutes, but yes, you can do this. This is my book on outcome-based education, which I have written across all discipline addressing, because this all we generally address in the outcome-based education, how all domains of learning is taking place. Yes, over to you. Yes, any question? If no question is there, I am stopping this document. Yeah. I did find anything. I'll just check my chat box. Okay. Okay. I got. Okay. Somewhere you were at 4 o'clock. I was not audible. Yeah. Can you somewhere respond whether I was might be in between? There was some sort of the disturbance, but how overall session was audible or not? Can somebody respond me on the chat box? Okay. Very good. Thank you. Thank you so much, my dear friend. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for your response, Mr. Vrinda Joshi. Thank you. Thank you. So, thank you so much once again. I think there are no questions in the chat box. So, thank you so much once again to one and all. I'm sure that you will try to incorporate these all things in your teaching learning process. Huh? And over to a moderator for further proceedings. Thank you.